I'm back. We're back. And it's time for Chapter 5's. Our girl Laverna, first and foremost, in the crossfire. I walked into Panthea's forest far too often. I was getting used to this trek. That wasn't a good sign. But whatever. It can't really be helped. I just scrolled through Kamapas and made my way to the crime scene. What? Okay, yeah, sure, sometimes walking in the dead of the night with the wind in your hair enlightens the mind or whatever. Sometimes you just need a quick distraction before facing the world. And Kamapa really was addicting. And it was mostly worthless garbage. But there were sometimes interesting gems scattered within the garbage. Gems strewn at just the right frequency to keep my attention. And so down the well I scrolled. I kept just enough attention to keep myself from walking into any trees. I scrolled as I made my way to the house. But it wasn't that long a walk. Before I knew it, I saw in my peripheral vision the trees clear up. It must have been in the opening. I looked up, and sure enough, I was met with a slightly haunting sight. The old mansion of Veronica Collins, burnt to a crisp. Oh. Damn. This was the sort of sight you'd see in a legit horror movie. The house was blackened with soot. Various parts of it had fallen off, damage from the fire too intense. It looked, well, simply put, decrepit. Broken. Damaged. Damn. I mean, I knew about the fire and all, but I guess I just had to see it with my own eyes to believe. Well, just looking in from the outside world, outside would only do me so much good. I had a job to do after all. I put my phone in my pocket. I straightened my posture. I put on my war face. I walked back into the battlefield. Despite the nominal police tape drawn around the area, it took absolutely no effort to enter the crime scene. This was a rather appalling show from the police force. Well, it's not like I actually had faith in them. Whatever. Made my way to the front door and entered. Inside there were a number of officials walking about, taking photos and examining things. The place was packed, abuzz with chatter. Well, perhaps that played to my advantage. I'd have a bit of time to myself before anybody had noticed that I'd made my way inside. I began looking around the main area. I had only moments, however, before I saw a familiar face begin to approach in the corner of my eye. Hey, are you? I turned around on a swivel. Hi, Chara. Laverna Smith, private detective extraordinaire. Absolute pleasure to be of service, dear. I held up my hand for a handshake. She did not oblige. Chara hesitantly accepted it. Hi. And you are Chara Tucker, correct? Huh? Yeah, how do you? I'm a detective, dearest. It's my prerogative to covet knowledge of all types. What the fuck are you talking about? Say, complete change of subject, but you were on the restricted floor the same day Olimpo had that info leak, correct? Huh? Yeah. And you work most closely with Polly Deisma. I assume as much for you to show up at the scene like this. Yes. At this point, Chara shook her hand for my handshake. I gave her a visible once-over with my eyes. Then I shrugged my shoulders. Well, my employment on that case has been rescinded. As much as I have natural curiosity, I make it a point to never turn anybody in without a healthy paycheck. Sets a poor precedent, you understand? Right. Thanks. For what? This whole conversation, Chara seemed to be on a dazed back foot. Yeah, this is certainly unusual. Good. Well, it was already late, and she had received troubling news, so it wasn't a hard state to put her in. While you're here, may I ask you a couple of questions? Sure. But to be clear, I wasn't here when... are you talking about the current case? Small things for small minds. Small things? I wouldn't call... Chara called herself. Okay, what do you want to ask? I turned back to examining the burned remains of this mansion. This used to be the mansion of Veronica Collins, yes? Right. Can you describe how Polly Deisma came to purchase this estate? What the reason for it was? Precisely. I don't know, he's just looking for a place in the forest. The reason it had recently become available. It wasn't as expensive as some of the other things. There wasn't any real thought behind it. Did you help with the purchase? What? You heard me. I mean, I helped with the search somewhat, but obviously Polly had the final say. Naturally. Hey, why are you asking about this anyways? What's it got to do with anything? Maybe it deals with nothing. Just possibly, it might just do with everything. Huh? You are aware that Veronica Collins' nephew, Maximilian Collins, recently passed away, correct? I think I heard about that, sure. I've been looking into that, among other things. I've taken a recent interest into the belongings of the late great Veronica Collins. You know, when someone passes away, they catalogue the deceased's belongings, a true measurement of the dead's collective worth. There was one item among the list that struck me curious. Ever the old-fashioned type, the sweet Veronica Collins kept herself a journal. Journals are truly the closest thing we have to an opening of the soul. If you say so. And I do. Okay. Now I cross-index that list with the storage container which kept many of the deceased's belongings. For the life of me, I couldn't find that journal. Huh. That's weird. But, no disrespect, miss, but why are you blabbing all this to me? Because you see, this mansion of ashes may hold the answers I desire. You see, I've questions. Is this missing journal within these walls? Or, contrastingly, did the late Maximilian Collins pilfer that journal from the storage container? And in the case of the latter, is there potentially anything else left in this mansion which could provide insight into what the journal may have told Max? Oh. I see. But sorry to say, I don't think there's anything like what you said here. Speaking personally, I've cleaned a lot of this house, and I haven't found anything like what you described. I'm sorry, but I think it's a dead end. When approached with a dead end, it was my favorite tactic to break through it with the proverbial pickaxe. Ah. And what does that mean, exactly? Until we meet again, ta-ra for now. With pleasantries exchanged, I turned away and walked over to the police. Baldera, hello. Seth, hello. I'd like to start with the official investigation soon enough. It was clear I wasn't going to get anything from Char with this line of questioning. If there was something to be found, the thorough police sweep would find it. Which officer found it, though, may be worth considering. Whatever. Let's just start with the task at hand. It wasn't long before I found the usual suspects. Made my way over. Laverna, you made it. Ah, Lav. Hey. Laverna? Oh, hey, Ariane. What a warm reception. Well, it is certainly befitting. Baldera less peppy. Less pep in her step, understandable after what we told her last time. When a savior enters, it is only fitting to praise their name. Still, such owed respect is rarely shown. When it is, it ought to be celebrated. If only to encourage future similar responses. See, this is why you usually don't get warm receptions. Oh, Seth, don't be like that. Actually, I'm with Seth on this one. Indeed. That greeting, by all metrics, would be considered exceedingly obnoxious. My, oh my. Aren't we in a grim mood today, huh? That. No, I understand. I'll act accordingly. Surprisingly, I'm glad to have you, Laverna. Presume you checked in with Pandora. Pandora? She was outside, making sure to authorize everyone who has the credentials to enter, and turn away everyone else. Right. Of course I checked in with her. She did her job, yes? Is there a reason this encounter took you a moment to remember? I am juggling a dozen cases a minute, Chief. My brain is cramped to the brim with important details, alibis, weapons, motives. Maintained all of this. It's necessary that superfluous details get erased as soon as they entered. This authorization with Pandora is a superfluous detail. Most of my encounters with her are. After a moment, Ariane gave me a solemn nod. Understandable. I rubbed my eyes. You okay? Why wouldn't I be? You were just rubbing your eyes. Yeah, well, when you wake me up at this time of night, I'm going to be a little groggy. Then, should you be here in the first place? I'm fine. Nothing kickstarts the brain like mystery. I assume that is why you are a little late to the scene. You are working with us, right? Presume Ms. Vasquez called you over. Actually, I called her over. Oh, is that right? Baldera really took our comments personally. Yeah, well, I'm sure Baldera would have gotten to it if I had not. Seems pretty insistent in involving Miss Smith here in every halfway interesting case. So I decided to just, cut to the chase. Cut out the middleman. Efficient. I admire it. You have my thanks, Seth. It's always a gift to be able to solve the mysteries Panthea has to offer. Alright, the commission kickbacks can't hurt either. Truth is its own reward. Oh. And should we just stop at the payments then? Well, now let's not get hasty. There's power and precedent. If we just start going willy-nilly with what to pay or not to pay, who knows what could happen? Chaos. Chaos. Strife. Societal collapse. Just Baldera was smiling, but it was a muted smile. I saw her expression earlier. She was not glad to see us. It was left with a question. Had Seth not intervened, would she have contacted me on her own? Legitimately, I didn't know. That is a very good question. And that kind of scared me. It's a bit worrying. Possibility that I had permanently screwed something up with Baldera. That'd be real bad news if that were the case. Had I approached her too early? Was the pitch a mistake? Possibly. It remains to be seen, but... Possibly. Saying all those things, but no. It had to be done. How she took it, well, that was up to her. It was definitely right to inform her. In fact, it's probably for the better that she seems to be a little cold. I mean, think of the alternative. That she acted normal. Given what I laid at her doorstep, that shouldn't have been possible, not for her. If she had acted like that, that would have meant she probably already knew. And if she already knew, then she almost certainly had skeletons to hide as well. Conversely, if she did have things to hide, would she really push away someone who was actively investigating mysteries? You think you'd want to get closer? No, this was a good thing. If she did have something to hide, would she push away someone... On one hand, I think you would push people away from the mysteries you're trying to hide by, not inviting Laverna to crime scenes in Panthea. On the other hand, I get Laverna's logic, which is keep your enemies closer, so you know what they're looking into. That's what I had to tell myself, at least. Now then, to business. I'm not brought here for my witty banter, as desirable a bonus as that may be. It isn't. Only for one thing and one thing only. To discover crimes. To solve mysteries. To drag the overbearing cart of the world inches closer towards the ideal city of justice, one step at a time. We get it. Frankly, I'm a little surprised that you were brought here for this case. Oh? Do not mistake me. It's most certainly an important case. High profile. But there's not much mystery to solve. The facts at hand seem incredibly apparent. This is a job for forensics, not a private eye. Huh. I shall be the judge of that. Most mundane cases can hide the surprising depths. If you say so. Very well then. Mr. Johnson, care to give a summary of the events that have transpired? Sure. Not a lot to summarize this time, but what the hell. So, not that long ago, we got an emergency distress call. Came from one Polly Deisma. It's hard to make him out, but he was talking very quickly in a nervous manner. There were the obvious sounds of chaos in the background. It's easy to piece the situation together. Polly's first explanation was confusing, but basically it said that there was a madman in this house that needed to be stopped. Get here as soon as possible. So we did. Traced the call to this house in the forest and made our way right here. Apparently, very shortly after the call to us, the call was placed to the local fire department. A fire had become the rage. Oops. A fire had become the rage. Presumably in connection with the incident. It was a little difficult to get to the house, but in the forest and all. That's the risk you take for living here. You gotta know that when you buy a house here. Rather cold of you, Miss Vasquez. You know, I think it is. Well, despite that, we were able to get here. The fire department handled the situation as best they could. That's a vague way of phrasing things. Huh. You're not really telling me what's important. Did they do a good job or a bad job? Can't tell from the results. It depends on how bad the fire was. And how is this important? I don't yet know. You don't know what Chekhov's gun is important until it's fired. You do if you're observant. Well, naturally, us detectives can sense future plot developments in media a mile away. It's just an extension of logical reasoning. I get surprised by plot developments? Maybe keep that to yourself, Baldera. Your boss is right there. Yeah, right. Like, the chief's gonna penalize me because I can't predict the end of a movie. Are you hearing what she's saying? I am. And I am hearing what you are saying. Ms. Vasquez, it seems like you need to work on your deductive reasoning. Seriously? Guys. Feels like maybe we're definitely off track here. Guys, I'm the fucking mole, and I'm the only one getting down to business here. What the fuck? Did the fire department do a good job or a bad job? I don't know. Decent. They did a decent job. I see. Okay, well, since then, we've been investigating around the house and looking for evidence of exactly what went down. Turns out, despite the fire and all, this place really didn't take that much damage. We found plenty of evidence. Seth walks over to a table, on top of which a variety of evidence pieces were gathered in an organized manner. Right, here's a pistol. Found it under that burned couch right there. Forensics will have a field day with that. This pistol's owner, according to a statement from Mr. Deisma, it was the assailant's pistol. We also got a handful of bullet shells. Ooh, and this pan thingy has some bullet impacts on it. Probably some struggle there, huh? In my line of work, bullets do tend to indicate a struggle. Be it physical or emotional, that depends on the specific circumstance. Well, okay, there's also these metal canisters left behind. Metal canisters? Yeah, the way Mr. Deisman tells it, apparently they were like mini grenades. Well, I'm telling you, I haven't seen anything that looks like this. Are you a grenade expert, Mr. Johnson? Me? No. I would ask why you are speculating on such things. Sorry, ma'am. For all we know, these are very common devices. Let us not begin making wild assumptions. Right. The Congress dances but does not progress. Excuse me? Nothing, ma'am. It appeared I'd miscalculated who could hear my mumblings. Well, whatever they are, we'll be doing tests on them. Maybe that'll turn something up. And of course, Baldera slapped a small black plastic box with a removable top. This is the money. And since it is the money, Miss Vasquez, please treat it with a bit more respect. Right. Sorry, Chief. But yeah, this is a collection of bits of forensic evidence we've found. Baldera opened up the box to show a small pile of tiny plastic baggies, each with a single hair inside. Fire did a number on stuff. Plus, you know, it's a house, and likely a lot of guests. We're hoping that one of these runs up something useful. We cannot be sure, though. It's likely that the assassin did not leave any hairs behind. Assassin? Why are you all using that word? The way you described it, Polly was reporting in a scuffle. Oh, right. Our bad, love, we should have said. Apparently, Polly thinks that this person who broke in came to kill him. My oh my, that is quite an accusation to levy. Does he have any proof of this? His testimony has been all over the place. So what he's... Just that an unknown officer came in and whispered something to Chief of Police Ariane. She nodded and dismissed them. They were not able to locate them. Damn. What is that about? Oh, the moment the police began to show up, we saw a figure fleeing the house into the forest. Officers were dispatched after the mysterious figure, but apparently there was too much of a lead. Too much of a lead? You content to let the killer get away just like that? It's not like that, Laverna. Indeed. According to Mr. Deisma, the figure spotted fleeing was an acquaintance of his, staying at the house during the time of the incident. Vels and Grish? He says he doesn't know why they hightailed it. Awfully suspicious, if you ask me. I agree. But I'd also like to see this individual. Probably doesn't matter. I got 3 blank looks. You heard me. Anyway, I'd like to speak with the victim himself. Your third-hand accounts are vague and poorly explained. Hey! I'd like to hear him explain the situation. A sensible enough approach. I don't see an issue with it. I guess. It is settled then. Laverna, feel free to interrogate Mr. Deisma as you see fit. He is currently residing in the neighboring room. Ariane pointed out exactly where Polly currently was. There's a lot to do and we've already heard his testimony, so we won't be joining you. I trust that you can handle yourself in front of the victim appropriately. I'll have you know I have a superb bedside manner. If you say so. I wanted to engage in the typical tit-for-tat chatter, but for whatever reason I just felt exhausted. Keeping up my persona to that extent that I had already was more energy than I felt like I had in me. So instead I just gave a small, grateful nod and turned to the door. With confidence I strode in. I was met with an all too familiar face. Ah, Polly Deisma. You. Polly's face morphed with confusion. I know you, right? Ah, you remembered. How flattering. And here I was, thinking that you were too drunk to remember any of the details of our encounter. Instantly, the confusion on Polly's face turned to embarrassment. Well, I don't... Sorry, I don't remember our meeting that well. I figured as much. Do not worry, that much is expected. We did not speak for long, and not of anything with much substance. Laverna Smith, private investigator. Was this during our chapter 1? I had up my hand. Polly reciprocated with a shake. Polly Deisma, employee at Olimpo. Oh, but you probably already know that. I already know that? How presumptuous, Mr. Deisma. Arrogance is not a flattering look on you. Oh. No, sorry, I just thought, since you already said you knew me and you were investigating... well, I do already know that. I know most things. That's my job, Mr. Deisma. I know things. I'm knowledgeable. I know who you are and where you work, and I know you'd assume I already knew that, regardless of whether or not I was a private investigator. Polly didn't have a response to that. Polly internally, what the fuck are you talking about? He just sheepishly looked down, awkward. It was always a good policy to keep suspects on the defense, but considering everything, this policy needed to be doubly in effect with Polly. Relax, Polly. Remember, I'm here on your side. Yeah, right. That is, if the truth is on your side. But what? What does that mean? Absolutely nothing. Now, as I understand it, you were nearly killed tonight. Yeah. My, how troubling. You have my sympathies. I simply can't imagine what that experience must be like. Oh, well, thank you. Honestly, I'm more in shock than anything else. Mr. Deisma, it strikes me that most people don't go setting other people's houses on fire haphazardly. Usually there is a motive when events like this occur. Not always. Sometimes it's just a random act of violence. Rarely. Extremely rarely. Surprising as it may be for you to hear, I don't believe you are the exception to the rule. At least not in this case. Do you know who would have a motive to attack you like this? Motive? To attack me? No, I can't really think of anything. Mr. Deisma, you, the son of the infamous Odin Deisma, center of numerous controversies, stakeholder of Limbo, cannot fathom a single possibility as to why someone might wish to bring you harm. Is that the story you expect me to believe? You know, it's complicated. It's quite simple, Mr. Deisma. A crime has been committed, and the criminal must be brought to justice. If you cannot provide a likely motive, then I will have to do the work of scrounging up what that motive might be. Surely, being the gentleman that you are, you would do me the favor of sparing me of such laborious work. I mean, I have been trying to rise up the ranks of the Olympo company. Possible some of the other shareholders didn't look too kindly on that. I see. So then is your belief that this attack stems from your business rivals, threatened by your status? I mean, if I had to guess... You can ask me anything else? Any follow-ups? Do not rush genius. The cogs turn at a predetermined rate. Sorry. It's all a mess now. Very well, we can just proceed. You know what? Let us start at the beginning. Could you describe the incident in as much detail as you can from the beginning? Yeah, I can do that. Okay, so... Polly took a moment to compose himself. Then he began to speak. It was a night like any other. Dark skyline gave no indication of what would soon transpire. Polly, this is not a romance novel, get to the point. The dramatic narration is not necessary, but heavily appreciated. Never mind, don't get to the point. We are fellow artists here. Thanks. I thought I'd add to it. So like most nights, I go to bed pretty late. Fell asleep, nothing's indicating that things are weird. Then in the middle of the night, I hear a scuffle. A scuffle? Yeah, a commotion, a fracas, a brouhaha. It's coming from outside my room, so I rush out into the hallway and see a mysterious figure in a hoodie struggling with my friend. My friend had a habit of staying late, and I guess it was just luck that they happened to stumble across the intruder. Wait, hold up. Your friend. I assume this is the figure that the cops spotted fleeing from the scene not too long ago? Mm-hmm. Who's the friend? What were they doing here? Oh, all of a sudden, Polly got fidgety. It took me a second to process the likely reason for this. Polly, who's the friend? Oh, just, you know. Vels. Hey! Vels. Yep. Vels. Does this Vels have a last name? Any physical characteristics? I don't happen to know Vels' last name, but Vels wears a red hoodie, has these lightning arm tattoos. I'll be honest, Vels likes to play things close to the chest, and that's why Vels fled from the scene. You don't find that suspicious? What? I find that suspicious? Let me rephrase. I find that suspicious. Yeah, well, what's it to ya? Look, Vels isn't on trial here. I'm the victim here. You should be on my side. I am on your side. I'm trying to assess all possible threats. But fine, I'll drop the matter. Though for what it's worth, I'm convinced the people outside are going to have a lot more questions for you on this front, so I'd get your story straight. Me, though, I'm only interested in what I'm interested in. Whatever reason this Vels has to stay out of the police eye ain't none of my business. So Vels and the hooded man were fighting. Wait, Vels also wears a hoodie, right? Yeah, Vels wears a red one. This other guy's wearing a grey one. Fine. After seeing me, Grey Hoodie goes crazy, tries to shoot me. Luckily, I protect myself by blocking the bullets with a nearby object. Yeah, exactly. But the crime seemed to indicate that this little scenario played out not on the second floor hallway, but in the main area of the first floor. Oh, right, yeah, fight kinda progressed down the stairs at some point. Why was Polly distorting the truth in such minor ways? I can only conclude that in an attempt to hide more important details, he was accidentally scrambling up the whole story. The fight proceeded, but I stayed out of it, mostly. They able to place the call to the police. And I threatened the man in the grey hoodie, told him to get away while he still could. We exchanged some brief words, but eventually the guy saw reason. He hightailed it out of there, but not before throwing a flashbang at an incendiary grenade. Called the fire department, tried to handle things best I could, but, well, you can sort of see how that all played out. And that's pretty much it. That's right. Yep. Look, Laverna. Believe me, I'm glad to have your presence. But I don't exactly think there's much mystery to be solved here. Someone tried to kill me. They got away. Oh well. You just elucidated the exact mystery. Somebody tried to kill you. They got away. But no, not oh well. More like, oh no, we have to catch them. Isn't that a natural reaction? Duh. In that case, why are you saying oh well? I was just sort of getting the sentiment because, I mean, at this point, it's out of my hands, right? Either there's forensic evidence I can track the bastard down, or not, and roll the dice. I mean, from the way the guy moved, I have to assume he's a professional. Which means just checking people with motives for their alibis is a dead point. Don't be so quick to dismiss tried and true methods of detecting. There's still much within your power to change. For instance, you could supply me with a description of the culprit. His build, his facial structure, stuff like that. I guess. I don't know how much help I'll be. It was pretty hectic. Understandable. Just speak to the events to the best of your recollection. Sure. So how high would you describe the assailant? What was his build? Oh, he was high as fuck. Oh wait, you mean how tall? Normal? Normal? What's normal? I don't know. Okay, how about we start with something more basic? What was the color of his hair? I couldn't see his hair well. Like I said, he had a hoodie. Oh, and a face mask too. That also obstructed things. So, are you getting Vels versus Devon? At some point in here? Are we getting the feud of the century? The mega protagonists explode? Live on pay-per-view? Alright, but still, you should have at least been able to make out his hair color. Yeah, I don't know, Laverna. It was really hectic. I don't think I got a good look at his hair. Eye color. Expect to remember something like that when my life's at stake? What was his voice like? Oh no, it was muffled. Face mask, remember? Oh, face masks barely muffle voice. And you said you had a short conversation with him. I mean, yeah, okay, I heard some of his voice, but I don't know how I'd describe it. How do I know it was even accurate? You know, people can speak in very different tones. Could hear 5 voices and not know they were all coming from the same talented voice artist. Are you seriously suggesting that the assassin is a voice artist? No, I'm saying if I was going to someone's house to kill them, I'd probably try to disguise my voice somewhat. Look, I just don't want to give misleading information. You know, I read a thing that said that most people primarily identify others based on the voice they hear. What was Polly doing? I know he saw more of the assassin than this. This wasn't ignorance. This was deliberately obscuring the truth. Which led me to one big question. Why? What on earth was he doing? This man had broken into his house. Tried to kill him. What was his angle here? Earlier stuff I got. This? I need to push on this. Mr. Deisma, I'm sad that you're not being honest with me. Not honest? What do you mean? What am I not being honest about? You had a protracted struggle with a man who tried to kill you. I'll be blunt. I don't believe you could possibly have seen as little as you claim to have seen. I don't know what to say. It was traumatic. It was hours ago. There was a time to recall details, and now it'd be it. I've been a detail-oriented person, okay? Ask literally anyone who knows me. Why aren't you describing the assailant in more detail? Why are you stifling in this investigation? Stifling this investigation? Why would I do that? I don't know, that's what I asked you. Polly Deisma, an attempt has been made on your life. I'm asking you for information that would help locate the person who tried to end it. You are not cooperating. Why? I'm telling you what I remember. So... But until now I've been nice enough to only include statements in your introduction that should actually be selected. But sorry to say I can't always play gatekeeper. Sometimes irrelevant thoughts will get in. Oh hell, useful thoughts that won't fit in a deduction. Whoopsies. Hey look, it's not really a big deal. Use all your conjunctions. Pair them with statements that make a valid deduction. Nothing's changed, you just gotta be a bit more discerning. And you're already discerning. You're going to discern the hell out of those statements. Go on, get discerning. Let's save here. We're going to get back to he knows the assassin. Oh shit. Can't give details of the assassin. Because... But... We only have 3 conjunctions this time. Probably can't give details about the assassin. So because, but, therefore. We're ending with therefore he knows the assassin. Okay, we'll start with he was in close proximity to the assassin. But... probably can't give details about the assassin. Because... that would be a twist if there was no assassin. Polly's lying. Okay. So we're going to start with Polly is lying. Because... Polly can't tell details about the assassin, but he was in close proximity to the assassin. Actually, I'm going to reverse that. Lying because he was in close proximity to the assassin, but Polly can't give details about the assassin. Therefore, he knows the assassin. Lying because he was in close proximity to the assassin, but can't give details about the assassin. Therefore, he knows the assassin. Ah, bollocks! Therefore, Polly is lying because he knows the assassin. I feel like these are the thoughts we need to arrange. Because based on context clues, meta context clues, he knows the assassin. It's his older brother. Yeah! First try, every time. You recognize the assassin. What? That's the only thing that makes sense. Maybe you didn't in the moment, but right now you clearly know who tried to kill you. What? That is, I mean, absolutely absurd. What sort of detective are you? The smart kind. The kind that realizes that if this was a hired killer out for you, you'd have no trouble describing them. I mean, even if you thought you knew who might have put out a hit for you, in order to protect them, a thoroughly weird situation, but let's just imagine it. You still could describe the assassin they hired pretty effortlessly. That's no skin off your back. No. The only reason you'd skimp on the details of the attacker is if you specifically recognized your attacker and didn't want them identified by police. That's, I mean, I don't even know what to say. No need. I can go from here. So with this in mind, should we assume your whole story is fabricated? No, I don't think that's likely. It was already too weird and disjointed. If you were making something up, it'd be a lot cleaner. Somebody that you know broke into your house, dressed in a grey hoodie with the intent to murder you. And yet you're not turning on them. Why? What sort of loyalty? You're to cover for someone who tried to kill you, you must be extremely close. Seriously? But no, that doesn't make any sense. Exactly. If someone very close to you had tried to kill you, you'd feel betrayed. Yeah, you'd feel outraged. Take no offense to this, Mr. Deisma, but you strike me as a largely emotional person. Someone who would be driven by short-term impulses, not thinking about the larger picture. Somebody that you trusted stuck into your house and tried to murder you. You'd be outraged. You'd be fuming. I resent that description. Resentment noted. I don't care if you resent the description, I'd care if you object to it. I mean, if not objecting to it will get you to realize how dumb you're being right now, then fine, you got me. I'm dumb and emotional. If one of my friends tried to kill me, I'd say. Obviously. So, can you drop this? Drop this. Mr. Deisma, now things are interesting. The assassin. Is this somebody that you feel close enough to, that you'd recognize them despite everything? Somebody that you'd go as far as lying to the police to prevent them from being found out? And yet somebody that you wouldn't be outraged at for trying to murder you? Somebody that you don't necessarily trust? And of course it would have to be somebody who would actually plausibly do something like this. It couldn't be somebody with too much to lose. Nobody high on the social pecking order, because sneaking into your house to kill you themselves isn't the style of the elite. It's beneath them. It's unnecessary. So then, the killer is somebody you know and feel like you have to protect, but somebody you're not close with, you don't trust. On top of all that is this person isn't wealthy, which usually wouldn't be an indicator of much, but considering your societal class, that would actually limit. Enough! Polly was starting to get annoyed. Let's run this back. That is actually a pretty accurate description of Devon. You're totally off base, Miss Smith. Do you really think I would... Polly was interrupted by the sound of the door opening. I thought I was told that I'd have... My complaint was stopped in its tracks when I actually turned around to see who had opened the door. Isn't this an interesting development? Art? Hi, Art! Right in the doorframe stood Art Deisma, Polly's brother. Behind him stood Chara, looking less than enthused. For a moment, Art and Polly just looked at each other. Despite no words being exchanged, I could feel an intensity in the air. Maybe I was just imagining things. With the look on Chara's face, I wasn't the only one who felt it. Then Art took a step forward. Then another. And all of a sudden, Art was hugging Polly tightly. Polly was, perhaps understandably, taken a bit aback by this development. He was unsure how to respond. Acts of brotherly love like this were likely uncommon. Still, Polly knew to play along. With a somewhat strained look on his face, Polly hugged Art back. The two embraced for a somewhat uncomfortable period of time. Then, finally, Art let go. Polly? Thank goodness you're all right. Are you? Are you hurt at all? No, not really. What are you doing here? I heard the news. Grapevine said whatnot. You were attacked, right? Uh-huh. And again, I'm not sure what you're doing here. Polly, I know that our relationship has been, well, somewhat strained. Above all else, you are my brother. If I hear that someone has made an attempt on your life, well, it is only natural that I would come and see what has happened. Lord knows Odin won't be visiting. Yeah, Dad's never been the touchy-feely type. If I had actually killed my attacker instead of just fending him off, I'd have gotten some of his respect. Even still, I'm sure he's concerned. I mean, Jesus, Polly, an assassin. How dreadful. When I heard your life had come into jeopardy, I just dropped everything and came here to see you. Who told you assassin? So troubling to hear of this incident. That right. Polly's expression hardened. Once again, a minor stare-down occurred. Polly's disdainful look was apparent, but Art refused to flinch. Seeing the two go back and forth like this, well, lack of a better word, it was captivating. Maybe that was a weird reaction, but Char was also in the room, and she was equally silent. I didn't take her for the type to stand by idly and wordless. After perhaps a second too long, Art began his response. Obviously. How else would I react? Oh, I don't know. I was thinking you'd be throwing a minor party hearing that I was in danger. You know, Polly, I realize you're in shock, but there are some jokes that are simply not in good taste. I wasn't joking. Seriously? Polly, what do you take me for? The man who tried to kill me. Even with our differences, our fights, brother just can't be happy with the death of an older brother. You know, I thought that too. Another beat. Then Art turned to me. Miss Smith, do I have that right? Excellent memory, Art. A pleasure to see you at the scene. Our relationship may not have been entirely pleasant, but our last meeting proved your capabilities. I'm happy to see that such good hands are on my brother's case. Mr. Deisma, you are aware that Panthea's police force is currently providing their full attention to this case. Yes, sure. But, well, between you and me, the police force, they're okay. I see what you mean. Of course, I'm grateful for their services, unquestionably. But it's good to have as many sets of eyes on something like this as possible. A single added eye can make a dimension of difference. Yes, 3D movies, very clever. So, do you have any theories? Any idea who could have done this? It's early stages. Lots of possibilities to consider. Right. Yes, considering Polly's storied past, well, no doubt you have your hands full with suspects. A lot of people would like to do my brother in. What the hell's that supposed to mean? Finally, Char decided to start speaking. Oh, come on, Char. Surely you know what my brother's like. Yeah, I do. I know that he doesn't have lists of people who want to kill him. Is that your opinion? You know, maybe they came after me to get at you, Art. Or at the people close to your target. Why, this is an interesting theory. Right? mean, if we're talking about people who have lots of enemies, you fit that bill a lot better. A lot of your enemies would be a lot more willing to go to tactics like this, huh? Really, Polly? We're going there. Isn't that beneath you? Yeah, well, I guess we're both reaching new lows. You're crazy if you think this even gets close to your lowest point, and I'm really starting to resent your implications. That right? Maybe don't give those implications around. Ground, huh? Ground? Why? So at this point, Art turned to look at me. Polly and Shaw quickly followed suit. Before I knew it, all three were giving me a rather pointed stare. You could pick up on social cues. Much as I'd like to hear this conversation, fine. What? Perhaps surprisingly, I can read the mood. One of my least favorite pastimes is staying in rooms in which I am not wanted. I think I've heard what I need to regarding the crime from Polly. I turned directly to Polly. Rest assured, Mr. Deisma, your would-be assassin will be brought to justice. No matter who would prefer otherwise. Right, thanks. Began to walk over to the door. However, before I reached it, I paused in my tracks. Oh, and one other thing. The actual cops are far from over with any of you. So go on, have your conversation, but I would get your story straight. Especially that part about Vels. Polly, I get the feeling Seth is going to be really pushy about that. So, you know. Mind yourselves. Is that an instinct? Specifically calling out Seth, the Duat spy? Perhaps instinct, given Polly's clear vibes that that Vels is Vels and not someone who wants to be on the grid, so to speak. So off the grid equals off the Duat radar, perhaps? A bit of a impromptu deduction there. Hope so. That'd be pretty clever of her. If I could see their reactions, I continued out the door. Or perhaps it was just a theory and she's probing. Which is also good. Back to the main area of the house. Ariane, Seth, and Baldera were still standing around discussing things. The nearby counter was the collected evidence. I walked over to the group. Miss Smith? Did you get what you wanted? Oh, I got more than just what I wanted. That's good. Seth smiled. Right. Sounds good. I mean, it's gotta be good, right? You'd be saying it differently if it wasn't. This is Laverna, Baldera. I don't think we'd use that as an indicator. It is good, Seth. Thanks for asking. More to the point, I imagine you that Art Deisma into the house. Of course. Yes, well, if I were you, I'd go and join Art and Polly. The conversation seems fruitful. Phew! Ariane looked hesitantly at Seth and Baldera. Ariane looked ominously at Baldera over her shoulder. Then she nodded. Phew! Very well. She moved over to the room. Seth followed in her stead. Right, I just... One moment as I screenshot this. Ariane looked ominously. Alright. Seth followed in her stead. Baldera, however, stayed. Hi, Baldera. Damn it, what was this? Not interested in those affairs, Baldera? I'll turn up at the end of the minute. Baldera looked down. I guess she was struggling with her words. That was actually a good sign, right? I want to say something to you. I looked over the door. Art and Polly would probably cause a lengthy scene. Well then. Speech is in your capability, is it not? Surprisingly, this actually elicited a small chuckle from Baldera. Don't change, Lev. Others might want you to, but you really shouldn't. I don't intend to. Good. You're good, as is. That includes your decisions. Oh. This was about... I wanted to talk about what we talked about last time. And I want to say... I'm sorry. Huh? You're sorry? Right. I acted cold then. I've been acting cold since. And that's not fair. You were just looking out for me. You thought I could handle the truth. And it turns out I don't know if I can. Hesitation is natural, Baldera. I'd be more concerned if you had not. But if you're referring to it as the truth, then I think you can handle it. And let me be clear. Your accusations relied heavily on circumstantial evidence. They were vague, unfocused, nothing's in reality. I didn't make accusations. I gave facts. Uh-huh. Look, maybe you're right. Maybe you're wrong. I'll get to the bottom of all that, one way or another. Regardless, I shouldn't blame you for asking questions. We're both detectives. Asking questions should be our bread and butter. I merely nodded. Apology accepted. Oh, also, to be clear, I didn't just call you over to apologize. You didn't? No, not really. I came to show you this. Baldera pulled something out of her pocket. It was a phone. Oh, what's that? I found it hidden in a shell. A shell? Yeah, a shell. I think it was part of an art piece or something. Anyways, it was tucked away pretty snugly, but since this shell was chipped at some point along the way, the phone wasn't all that hidden. Whose phone is it? I mean, I'd imagine it's Polly's, but I can't be sure. Okay. And you're showing this to me because... Baldera looked around, making sure nobody was watching. And she put the phone in my hand. I want you to hold on to this for me. To look into this for me. Me? Look into this. The Deismas. I've always found them fishy. Anyone with half a brain would. Normally I'd put this with the evidence. We'd have a digital forensics team crack it open. But with the concerns you've raised, could fill in the gaps. Baldera was concerned that her own police force couldn't be trusted not to tamper with the evidence. Perfect. Telling Baldera about her co-workers was absolutely the right decision. It was already starting to pay off. Okay. Thank you for trusting me with this, Baldera. Know that I will make sure the truth comes to light. Please do. Lord knows I'm breaking so many protocols with this. I just don't want my deviance to be for nothing. It won't be, trust me. Also, word of warning, the phone looks to be locked. I don't know what to do about that. Don't worry. I know a gal. Funnily enough, I think I know somebody who could handle stuff like that. Is that somebody someone you can trust? Debatable. Grand scheme of things, I guess. Okay, then. I'm gonna go catch up with the others. I spent too long talking with you, and they might get suspicious. Or worse, I'll be lectured for being a slacker. Smart thinking. Baldera took a few steps toward the door. The others were in. Then she looked back to me. You coming? I shook my head. You all were right. There isn't a mystery to be solved. This is a job for boring forensics officers, not a bona fide truth seeker such as myself. You sure? It'll be more boring without you. It'll be more boring without me elsewhere. Sorry, but simply put, I won't be any use deployed here. Tell the chief I'm dismissing myself from this investigation. Baldera shrugged her shoulders, a little perplexed, but not in the mood to fight it. If you say so. And like that, Baldera walked away. And there I was, alone. Single glorious moment I was all alone. Finally. Believing the scene soon enough, job more than done. First, there was a matter that needed to be handled. Walked over to the counter with all the evidence lined up. Oh? I stood right above the box collecting hair samples. And then, a single gloved hand, I opened the box lid. Uh-oh. Inside, the box was filled with a bunch of tiny plastic bags, each with a hair or two carefully placed inside. It was a cavalcade of evidence. Undoubtedly say a lot about everyone who's been in this house. People who didn't want that information to be discovered, it was natural what they'd do. And so, my next move was obvious. Began stuffing the plastic bags in my pocket. 5 or 6 at a time, I moved them from the box into my pocket. Oh no. I was a little nervous if I'd be able to take them all. But lo and behold, in a matter of seconds, I had completely emptied the box. Good. Put the box's lid back on. Wow. Then without a moment's hesitation, I walked out the front door. Gold key collected. You know what would have been funny? If Pandora was in charge of that evidence box, then it would have been, you know, Pandora's. You get it. It's a good joke. Where are you, Easy? You know what? Fuck it. I'm retconning it. Pandora owned the evidence box. She donated to the Force, like, years ago. Who cares if it's not real? It's not like it affects anything. Oh, there you are. Oh, sorry for the spoilers. Sorry I spoiled the fact that who owned the evidence box initially isn't going to be some groundbreaking piece of the mystery narrative. I feel like you might be projecting right now. I don't know. Guess I'm just touchy about the whole spoiler subject. You see, I have this friend. Really annoying dude. Always with the nitpicks and lectures, but he's handy with the tech shit, so I keep him around. I have a real problem with spoiling things for him. But when I say I'm a chatty Cathy, I like to talk. I just think people having different definitions of spoilers. We're really in it for the journey, gal. My friend, on the other hand, he prefers to go into movies without even watching the trailer if he can help it. I'm actually with you on this, Easy. I'm an in it for the journey guy. I don't care if I know the outcome beforehand. Sometimes the outcome is interesting enough, I want to... Knowing the spoiler makes me want to watch it more to see how we get there. It does kind of color your perception of the thing in a way, but... What say you? What's your take on it? I don't really care about spoilers. See, someone with a sensible stance. Glad to see someone with common sense. And again, just because I don't care about it doesn't mean that I won't. If someone else doesn't want to be spoiled, I'm not going to say it. And I'll try and throw it out there if I'm talking about spoilers in front of people who might not know the thing. But it's like, this is just me personally receiving spoilers. I'm not going to go throwing out spoilers wanton to people around me. It's a bit rude. That should also be common sense. That you don't do that to people, so to speak. Anyways, I define spoilers as actual, like, reveals. Random plot detail from early on isn't a spoiler. Even if it was, it shouldn't matter. You know, science backs me up on this one. Studies show that going into a work knowing a spoiler actually tends to increase enjoyment. See? I'm onto something. Crazy, right? It's the bomb under the table effect, I suppose. Almost makes you wonder why the creators even bothered to make the twist secret in the first place, if knowing them will improve the experience. Almost. Actually, although you go into something without knowing the spoiler, experience the twist live. That also gives you incentive to rewatch the thing knowing the spoiler, because then you get a whole different level of enjoyment both ways. So, if you like not knowing the spoilers, you get the double enjoyment of experiencing the twist live and following that up by experiencing the story knowing the twist. Why, I've had just an awful idea. Do you want to hear a spoiler? For the story right now, want me to spoil something for you? It would be really silly if this was in bed. Sure, why not? Really? You really let me do this? Actually, now that I think about it, doesn't feel right to just, do this. Feels like you'd have to pay for it. Say, 30 chips. Yeah, 30 chips, that sounds right. So what do you say? 30 chips, spoiler on the house? You're not going to get to see the spoiler. Wait a minute. You don't even have 30 chips? Poor. You peasant. No spoilers for you, Tiny Tim. Good luck next time. Got me. I do wonder if she'll actually give us a spoiler if we have enough chips, or if like or if this is programmed to the point where no matter what, no matter how many chips you have, it will always be programmed to charge more than you have for the spoiler. I'm really curious about that. First, we're going to save game. Interesting factoid, you can replay the story chapters, but you can't replay the minigames or the easy segments, as I've just confirmed. So, got our first gold key. So someone else who's played this game, confirm it for me, if you will. For that note, we'll get back to lock next time. Until next time, until then, thanks for watching.